And they are off. So this little section at the start of the game is mostly just, well, the very beginning. We've got about a minute and a half of cutscenes, or sort of cutscenes, where there's not much to do.
This is Command. Yorha Squadron, come in.
2B here. All units have penetrated the stratosphere.
So for
Pilot systems green across the board.
anyone who hasn't seen this game before,
Operator 6-0.
this
All
is
units confirmed.
We've
NieR
passed the 50
Automata.
kilometer threshold and are proceeding toward the target.
Understood. Once you reach their anti-air defenses, proceed to manual attack
Mostly a hack and slash sort of JRPG.
and gather what data you can.
Understood.
So this little section at the start
12
is
down.
more
Units
shoot 'em up.
activate manual mode and rely on visuals to evade.
Already engaged. Free movement unlocked.
Origin point of long-range lasers confirmed.
So probably the first thing you'll notice here is the runners are getting hit by the laser here.
11B down. Our HO229
It
can't
might look a bit weird, but it's just a small optimization that lets them clear out their menus by using healing items
Alert.
or
Enemy
recoveries.
unit sighted ahead.
Requesting
Leads to
permission
very
engage.
slightly faster menuing. Now this little section, this shmup section, all the two runners are going to be doing is trying to
7E
clear out the
down.
waves as quickly as possible. Every time they clear out a wave, the next one will spawn, so the faster they clear out the wave, the faster they can get through this section.
1D down. Assuming captain's duty.
There are a lot of small optimizations to this. There's a few AI manips,
Surrounding enemy air units
but
confirmed.
really
Requesting permission to assume mobile
they're just trying to clear the waves as quickly as
Permission
possible.
granted.
Here's the second little part of the shmup, which is a different camera angle. You'll notice that a lot in this game, that we change camera angles and combat styles quite often, especially when running through indoor areas or in these shmup sections.
4B down. To Operator 6-0. All allied units down. The operation is compromised. Awaiting further orders.
But yeah, there isn't a huge amount of time to save on this
I
section.
need you to rendezvous with Unit 9S and begin gathering data on the local terrain.
Understood.
I'd say the difference between a very early runner's shmup and the very best is probably 15 seconds, really. So while that's definitely good time save for what looks like an auto-scroller section, it's not huge, and a lot of that time can be made up later in the run. Again, you just see them clearing these waves quickly. Ceciliya appears to be quite a decent chunk ahead at the moment, but all that can be made up. Ceci comes out to that shmup first. Now we get to see
Yes,
the
I'm aware of that.
main style of play in this game, which is this hack and slash type thing. You'll see immediately that Ceciliya is doing this same sort of attack over and over again. This is what we call a damage glitch. It's done by dashing and doing a heavy during your dash animation while still holding dash, and it does somewhere around 5 times damage. So it lets us clear out most enemies a lot quicker than you would casually.
Is that our target?
They're just gonna clear the waves again, just like before. Cecily's coming up on the first boss. With this boss,
You don't
all you're
say.
trying to do is get it to a threshold by throwing a damage glitch. Once it gets to that threshold, there's just a phone call that comes through. And then the boss is basically timed after that point. You just need to make sure it has no HP when the phone call ends and this little dialog box closes.
You might.
Cups, no.
I've got.
Now here you're going to see Ceciliya's chaining dashes together. This is the faster way of moving over short distances compared to sprinting. Sprinting takes a very long time to build up speed, so we'll spend most of the early part of the run chaining dashes, or chaining dashes and then attacks. Here you can see both runners did a thing that we call crane skip. You can combine lifts and jumps and attacks in midair to gain a lot of height, and so we can skip over a decent chunk there. Here we've just got another one of what we call the silos. It's another set of waves of enemies that you just want to take out as quickly as possible so that you can get the next to spawn. Of particular, they don't make it. We don't have Japanese voices because they are actually slower than English voices, and Japanese text just saves a bit of time on load screens. Both runners are doing bridge skip. This is actually one of the more precise skips. Both runners got it very quickly, but it's very precise on timing. We're going to do some little out of bounds movement here to avoid a section where we just have to walk around a lot past quite a few enemies. We can just go straight past that by clicking out of bounds.
I know.
On these waves of enemies, again, the same sort of thing. We'll use lasers a lot to clear out waves, especially that first wave there. Here, Ceci's got to try for another laser. You go to try and get 3 or 4 enemies with that. Going for 3 is slightly safer because you can get an angle that makes you less likely to miss the further enemies. So we see Ceci coming out of Sala 3 here.
I surveyed the entire factory, but
don't know whether she's going to go. Oh, yep. Ceci's going for Angle Swag. This is a little skip that does not save much time, so yeah, if you miss it, you don't want to try and go for it again, really, unless you know you can get it. It saves a second, so the second you mess it up, you start losing time. Icefire won't be going for that. Both these ones are very close coming out of Prologue, though.
There should be another facility
Probably
across
about
that
5 seconds
bridge.
between
It's a bit
them.
of a hike, but should we check it out?
Coming up on this. Now here we have another
Felt
boss
like command
fight
to get a
about to
location
start.
wrong. I guess even they get bad intel from time to time, huh?
I wouldn't bet on that.
Now this boss is similar to the first. We have to knock it down to a threshold, which is half of its HP. So they're just going to try and do as much damage while it's still moving, and then wait for this attack animation to finish, then the enemy would drop. There are 2 ways of doing this. There's buffless and buffs. In this case, both of them are going for buffs, just to make sure they get the enemy down to threshold before that animation finishes. Now here, Yeah, that boss wasn't really the boss. That was just the boss's arm. So here we see the actual boss angles. Very big boy. This boss fight is very exciting casually, but in the speedrun this is actually just this section of the boss fight is completely timed. We do damage to try and get him down to a threshold, but the threshold is quite high, so really this is a completely timed boss for the speedrun. Up until the next attack after this, after the next cutscene. Because after the next cutscene, Engels will do one attack before following like a predetermined route, which is timed, but depending on what that first attack is, and the length of that attack, it can change a lot how much time you lose or save. There is one attack in particular, the punches, which will lose you 23-ish seconds compared to the ranged attacks. He has got a ranged attack which is basically perfect in terms of RNG. We'll see what Ice gets.
Incoming enemy attack from below. Proposal. Evade.
Okay, so Icefire got Clap. Clap is only about 3 seconds time loss compared to a ranged attack, so not a huge difference there. No one's going to be, well, hopefully no one's going to be losing this race to RNG at least. But yeah, I'm very excited about this race because both these runners are very close. They've been close on the leaderboards for a long time. They were next to each other on the leaderboards for quite a while. Ceciliya recently got a few PBs that pushed her time down, but this should still be a very close race.
Packing in.
NieR black box signal detected. No response to community.
Okay, now Ceciliya's coming up on something called stair skip. We try and do a double lift, which is done by doing a lift and then hitting the ground during the lift animation to refresh your jumps. That lets us get over those stairs. Ceciliya took a little bit of time, so Icefire's got to catch up by getting that first try. Only slightly, but
NieR.
that just lets us skip running around angles. Now here's Ceciliya on a ninjas fight, gonna... Oh, that's a different strat. Okay, that was a very good ninjas. Those ninjas can, those stubbies can jump back and have iframes quite a lot and just make it very difficult to fight them, depending on what sort of RNG you get. As you saw, like, Icefire had a few of them jump away from him. But still both have fairly decent ninjas. Ceciliya's was very nice though. Yeah, sadly we don't get any cutscenes in this that are skippable. All the skippable cutscenes we skip. This little section here is also timed based on dialogue.
Packing in. To provide
Both
support.
known as a it's time based on dialogue, but then Engels will do an attack after the last line of dialogue.
The
And
control
if Engels is doing attack while that last line of dialogue is finishing,
should be able to take it
he
over.
will take a little bit longer to do the attack that's needed to progress. In this case, I think Ceciliya got good RNG, which meant that he finished an attack as the dialogue finished. Assuming, yeah, that was Ceciliya's audio.
Control of upper
So Ceciliya got good RNG on that bit.
from enemy unit.
These two sections that I'm talking about are the main actual cases of RNG. There's not much more of it outside of prologue. It doesn't just come from the attacks enemies decide to do.
Infiltrating enemy subunit. Behavior table adjusted. Balance controls overridden. Enemy unit subjugation complete.
Now we just wail on Engels with his own arm, and then prologue should finish up. Ceciliya getting a 1452. By the way, you might notice that Cecilia's splits are in different colours than Live Split's defaults, so purple will be ahead and green will be behind, whereas Icefire's will have green as ahead and red as behind, just in case you want to see how they are comparing to their PBs throughout the run. I missed what sort of time Icefire got on Prologue, but it didn't seem like it was much further behind, so... Here we just have a bit of quick menuing. With the menu delays in this game, this can actually be sort of difficult, but...
Morning.
You know, we have quite a bit of menu delay that seem... I don't know whether it's intentional or what, but there's a decent chunk of delay on all the menus in this game that can cause some problems. Now we'll see here if Cecilia's gonna go for the dialogue skip, or if both players are gonna go for the dialogue skip, or will not. Cecilia doesn't look like she is. She's going to do a heavy hold and running heavy there to skip past that dialogue point just to get more distance where you would normally be doing a slow walk. Icefire tried the same thing but with a dash swing with a different weapon in his heavy slots. Both do the same thing. A bare fist heavy hold seems to give you more distance, but not a huge change between them. You can do a dialogue skip there, but I'll get around to talking about those when we get to the points where the runners are doing them later on. Here we come out of bunker. We have another little shmup section. Same as last time in Prologue, we're just trying to clear out these waves quickly. Now we have the pod program. With the missiles, we can clear out some of these enemies a little bit quicker. And then here comes the which is where we sit in that corner and just wiggle a left stick around, or right stick around, so that we can hit all those enemies without actually trying to aim. That can be pretty destroy everything pretty crazily fast actually. Despite the fact that you're not actually aiming at all.
Sorry for the trouble, but we can't risk the enemy discovering their position.
Understood.
Good luck down there.
Or was the woo or a secret canars? Okay, so that's come out the smoke. Here we don't do what's called a plunge. We did one of these in Prologue, but we don't see one quite that insane here in Prologue. Yeah, the plunge is pretty crazy for gathering distance over, well, gathering speed over long distance because it's very fast. So as long as you're high up in the air, you can go very far with it. There, you saw Ceciliya try something. She tried to refresh a dash and jumps on that little barricade there as she went over.
So this is the resistance camp, huh? We should probably go talk to their leader first thing.
But just barely missed the thing. I think that's why I got it there. No, he was starting a bit of a... We're going to be picking up a few fetch quests. These are actually necessary, even though they are marked as side quests, I think. But yeah, we need to pick up these fetch quests. we're just gonna do some movement. You'll see Ceci's doing slightly different movement than before.
This must have been
She's
quite a
now
scene
adding
once upon a
punches to the
time.
dashes.
Too bad vegetation's claimed
This
most
is
of it
just
now.
slightly faster than the dashing, but it would lose us time in prologue to try and equip Bare Fists, and we can't do some of the skips in prologue without the light
Nothing to
sword.
report.
I mean the large sword.
Say, how's the weather on Earth?
But now we're going to use
Good?
dash punches,
It's fine.
which are the fastest
Does that
method of
question
movement
have
at the
anything to do
moment.
with our operation?
Not really. I just figured it might feel nice to have some good weather.
That should be enough. Let's get these back to the trader. Plant life has claimed most of the central area. Big plants, too.
Report. Records show that vegetation has grown to an abnormal size since the departure of humans.
So yes, as he picked up all his items, he's going to move over to his next set. Here we have to kill a few enemies to get the item drops. The same enemies here will drop the items every time, or at least you have to have enemies of certain levels that will drop the items. So that can help us make sure we get the right ones.
Okay, that's everything the supply trader asked for.
So just clear them out quickly. We try and
Man,
pod fire at the
real pain in the butt,
stubbies at the
huh?
back to
The
drag them
resistance
closer
is a
towards you while you're
powerful
killing
ally.
the medium biped
Helping
there.
them, we also help ourselves. So no, I don't think they're a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what it does. So, small attempt at some slightly swag movement there by Ceci. We can dash link past that mysterious woman before talking to her to try and get a bit more distance before we start the conversation and start moving. Both runners are basically neck and neck right at the moment. A few dialogue boxes between them. Now here, Ceci got a weapon upgrade from completing that quest. We get the materials to upgrade the weapon, which is very useful. And then we upgrade the weapon. The benefits of that are that we start doing a lot more damage with our short sword, and also the attack speed of the short sword goes up. Now, the interesting thing is that movement speed from attacks such as this dash sling are based on the attack speed of the weapon. So now this dash sling that Ceciliya's doing, which is dashing and then when you start to sprint, just as the dash ends, pressing the heavy button, is now faster than doing the dash punches we were doing earlier. This is just some nice movement over towards the desert where we're supposed to go. Yeah, Areas of Guild. We are basically constantly dashing in this run. Anytime we're not jumping, we're dashing. Sometimes even when we're jumping, we're dashing.
Map data obtained from bunker. Data may be displayed.
Okay, Ceci here is going to pick up that transporter for something later on, and get stuck in it. No, we're not supposed to. Ceciliya's going to try and clip through the wall next to the transporter,
General idea is good enough.
so that we can do some more out of bounds movement, which gives us a nice line towards the place we were going to, and also skips a trigger for some dialogue that might get in the way otherwise. That's why doing the same thing. We also saw that both runners picked up some buys there. They'll pick up some recoveries, some attack buffs to help with some of the fights coming up, and also a resilience chip, which we'll equip later, and animal baits, which we'll use as well later to bait animals, as you might guess. We get to ride animals in this, luckily. Okay, this is going very fast, but Ceci did some more out of bounds movement there. We can clip out of the barricade and then move around the outside of that little tunnel thing, and that lets us, you can see Icefire doing it now, we move around the outside of it. Benefit of that is that we can hit the trigger to continue while out of bounds, and it lets us skip a little cutscene at the top, at the exit of that little pull area, which saves probably a few seconds. You'll notice that a lot of these skips are pretty insane. We sort of just go through walls, and also that a lot of them don't save massive chunks of time. Like that barricade skip saves time, but doing the entire out of bounds movement to avoid that cutscene, if you mess up that out of bounds movement and happen to void out, you're pretty much immediately losing time. They're both just using some dash swings and a few slides. Just optimal movement. Here Ceciliya is going to wait for that robot to plunge into the sand, and then do a plunge along that rock. That rock has weird collision, so if we plunge into it once the invisible wall that's there, as it waits for the quest to progress. Once that drops, if we plunge there, we can just slide straight along the rocks and where we would normally be slow walking. Stupid rock, as we call it. As for having a little bit more trouble with his. Not huge though. Now, Ceci's going to be going for one of the sillier looking and one of the bigger time save skips as well in the game. We call this desert housing skip or pit skip, depending on whether you want to name it after what it skips or where it goes to. We can clip out through that little through that little area there, move off here, and then do a plunge down to this platform that's next to the pit. Then here Ceci's gonna do some little stuff to hit a trigger over here that we'd normally have to walk around to, which is sort of above where Ceci is, and then gonna move over to this platform, which is then yeah, what? No, okay. So Ceci missed the platform there. Had a bit of a weird input glitch thing that can cause you to causes you to do a dash swing instead of a plunge, which is what Ceci was going for, and can be troublesome. This is this is gonna give Ice quite a big chance to catch up because he did the out of properly. Ceci is now just slightly behind after that little mishap. Yeah, I would be mad after that because you don't really have much control over when that happens either. So yeah, Ceci just had to climb back up and hit that platform, which was the mandatory trigger to start this section. Here we're just going to clear out all these mobs as quickly as possible. Clear out a number of these mobs so that this quest one will spawn. Yeah, it is. You can intentionally do that movement, but it feels bad when you're trying to go for a plunge and you accidentally yeah. It normally happens by trying to plunge way too late on your dash. It's a small window, but it's definitely annoying when it happens accidentally. So yeah, they're gonna do this now. They're just going to clear out as many mobs here as they can to get XP for later. XP is gonna help with some of the fights. Ceci tried for an SD there, but probably not gonna get it now. Just to try and get some more XP. Here, Icefire is coming up on the first real boss, which is Adam. He's gonna go for a thing called Sword Dodge Skip, which I think he got. I don't know what I missed. That just skips a small cutscene and makes Adam a little bit easier to fight during a few of these levels. Both players are having decent Adam fights so far. Yeah, Icefire got grabbed right at the end of that fight. That was very close to landing. Yeah, this Adam is being not so nice to Icefire. As you can see, both players ended the fight very close to each other. There's about a second between both of them loadless now. Which is Pretty crazy. Coming out of Adam fight with about a second. This is yeah. Thanks Seth for making this. Okay, I'm calm.
Looks like we're safe now.
What the hell just happened?
I know. I've never seen a machine like that before.
This little bit of movement can be pretty awkward. There's a lot of bumpy ground.
Reception so we can contact command.
We want to move up here, and then at this box at the top, we're not going to push it all the way off the ledge like we normally would. We're going to push it about 1.5 times. Try and do a pod launch through the corner, and then dash as soon as we go through the box, so that we can go out of bounds. You see the Ceci got that just sliding real quick. This is very, yeah. They're both going to do that and then move over here, and then we're going to use that transporter that we picked up earlier. And because we're now inside this save area, we can save and load back to that transporter, which saves time, especially loadless. And we have to do that out of bounds movement there, because if we don't get to the transporter out of bounds, a dialogue will start, which will stop us from being able to save.
Maybe we should... Roger.
Oh yeah, Milo, that was me. I was just trying to lower your expectations.
Data upload complete.
Roger.
I also have an incoming message from the commander.
So you see, Ceci just saved a small amount of time from having a slightly better clip out there. So you can see how like little tiny things can change this, especially this race. Small things are gonna mean a lot in this race with how close the runners are. Both runners are going for different sets of movement here. Ceci, I think, doesn't like going over the top here, though I think it's definitely faster. It can be awkward, especially with that route there. It's got weird boxing, so you can fall off quite easily.
Looks like our surface route's been cut off. So
Ceci doesn't like branch. Yeah. Ceci went for a plunge there into that. It's very slow.
So why would machines try to look like us?
That just speeds things up. Just gonna go through the sewers, and then we're heading towards the amusement park. One of the areas that a lot of casual players say is one of their favorite things. The music here is sour, please, as it gets. Actually, no, we still have Coffee City, don't we? The music is very nice. So they both are missing things a lot. This is going very fast. These two runners are really quick, but they did a little bit of movement there to skip a discovery cutscene, the same as the one in Desert. Here they're gonna do a clip out we call skip we call Let's Play, where we clip out of the house, then cross over here, and then we can go around all this stuff. Hit a trigger there, like Ceci just did in that corner, which spawns this tank and lets us progress, and then move up to the roller coaster. It goes very quickly, but basically what you need to know is we skipped a couple of cutscenes there, and also avoid walking the long way around.
Humans sure are strange creatures.
You see, my opinion on this discussion in chat is that you should just do it while.
Hey,
just do the hard strats properly.
People who know me well usually call me Nines. So what do you think?
This roller coaster is timed. No one's going for a roller coaster skip in this one. I don't blame them. So we'll save that discussion for a run where someone actually goes for it. But this roller coaster is just timed, waiting for it to go around. We're just going to kill all these enemies on it to get XP and maybe some item drops. There's a chip that can drop on here that's useful, but it's very rare. So we're just going to kill these enemies. It's no real rush because it's quite a long time to do it. And then here we just drop down into the boss fight. This is also some people's favourite boss in the game. Sadly to say, You won't be seeing much of it here. Sadly to say, that's not English.
What the hell?
Our records don't
So
say anything
here
about
we're going to be
this.
buffing up, hitting Beauvoir quite a lot, but not too much. And then when Beauvoir starts this attack, we want to knock her down to threshold immediately, basically. This lets Beauvoir move faster towards the stage. We get her as close to the stage as possible during this attack. If you overkill her and kill her before she starts the attack, she'll do the second attack, which loses quite a bit of time, and if you take too long, she'll do another attack.
It's trying to hack us.
So we're trying to get her down to threshold during that little attack, and then move her as close to the stage as possible so this next section starts. Here's this hacking section. Not huge. It doesn't happen often. Should only happen once in this run. Though in this section, these little crucified androids can also shoot out hacking waves. Preferably you don't get hit by them. You'll lose probably about 5 seconds from each hit. So you're dodging along quite nicely there. Bit close for comfort. But yeah, getting hit by one of these will lose you a bit of time. Ceci, oh, unlucky. The camera here certainly doesn't help for dealing with those.
The enemy's hacking pattern. I'm going to try to hack it back. Keep it busy. You got it.
Now we're just going to wail on Beauvoir and kill her before she can do anything. We get her down until her health bar disappears, or some players will clear out the other crucified androids that spawn here to try and get more drops or XP. Ceci's not going for that and is just going to keep attacking. And then right at the end of this fight we're going to self-destruct. Once we've got her down and we get the level up, we don't need to do any more damage. So we have time where we can self-destruct, and then when the cutscene starts, we lose the self-destruct stagger. So this is the best place where we can self-destruct for what's coming up next.
You said that yourself.
Yeah.
Both players have clean fights there. Both was a fight that you expect both of these players to do well on. The only real trouble would be the hacking androids. Here we follow a peaceful machine that we'll just kill so that we can move faster. You'll see that Ceci used a small recovery there just to give herself a little bit more XP. HP. That HP means that we can still SD, do SD, and there's a lot of uses for SD. There's a important usage in a bit that lets us clip through a box a little bit easier. The reason we SD there and get to low HP is so that we can do a death warp in a second. Because the way death works in this game, you won't lose quest progress and stuff when you die in this game, in most situations, so long as you've saved.
Looks like they really don't want to fight.
So what we'll do is we save here at the village, pick up the quest from Pascal, go all the way to the resistance camp with the quest, get that quest, and then instead of running all the way back to Pascal, what we do is we take a boar and let that boar kill us. Well, a boar or a moose, and we let that animal kill us once we finish talking to an enemy. And being on low HP means that it will do it in one hit rather than waiting for a long time. I don't care about spoiling the death warp. I'm sorry I'm not a hard caster or confuse everyone caster, but I want things explained.
To be here. What's
He says he got more.
There's this operator I kind of liked, but when I asked her out, she turned me down.
You mean Anemone, hero?
Honestly, Doobie, I don't know how I'm supposed to go on living.
I am definitely not the person to discuss this with.
I don't think I can stand.
So this boar,
you leaving would be bad
Yeah,
for me.
the boar,
It would
I don't
affect the
know
mission.
if the boar is faster. I think the boar is actually not much. Yeah, after baiting the boar, it's not actually
Are you
faster than
saying
dash
he's
swinging,
ugly?
from what I've heard. But having the bull there makes it a lot more consistent to get this death orb over trying to get a random enemy to do it that 9S can easily just kill, or that might just ignore
What do
you.
you think?
The bull will almost
He
always,
just
well,
started
should
training ready to
always
take a
attack
walk
you
with me.
after the.
Now do you believe we're
So
good
if the bull runs
friends?
away like this,
Your
it can
mouth
be
can
more
say that,
troublesome.
but you still don't have a heart.
It should always attack you immediately after the first set of podfire you do on it. Oh no, she died. Yeah, we can do ball bouncing. That might be faster. Icefire seemed to get close there, so maybe did Icefire bounce? Cecily having some trouble with this little bit of movement. There's the gap to get in there is actually basically just the width of that ladder, slightly wider, so it
What's
can
that
be a
noise?
little bit troublesome to get up there sometimes.
2B, this is an emergency transmission from the bunker. We're reading a
So we
Goliath-sized
cleared up that
enemy inside the
quest,
city ruins.
and now we
Looks like
have
there are a ton of other
emergencies.
machines there with it. All your high units should proceed and engage immediately.
There's Goliaths,
Goliath?
so we're just
This
gonna
was a
move
trap. I
over
knew
to
it.
that Goliath.
I promise you.
2B, command is deploying new flight
We're
units.
supposed to
for us.
go and
We
get
just
flight
sent the
units
coordinates, so let's get going.
and use them to kill 2 of the enemies like angles from the prologue. So this section here is just a lot of movement because we're moving all the way from Pascal's village over to where we started when we got to the city ruins.
Probably shouldn't get near that guy's feet. Yeah, no. Let's find another route.
Lots and lots of dash slings and jumps and stuff. Just trying to get
The flight units should be on
movement
the
as
roof of that
clean and
building up
optimal as
ahead.
possible,
It'll be
really.
dangerous, but we're not going anywhere unless
Gotta
we
have
pass
nice
through that Goliath's
beelines.
lines. We should be careful.
I'm not the greatest judge of beelines here, so if Kanara sees something wrong, he can inform us. If he is still here. Now, in this section, we're supposed to fight this this first angles unit without our flight unit, but with the due to a little developer oversight, we can climb straight over this invisible wall that
These
spawns
guys are packed with anti-air weapons.
and
Make sure
just
to approach
not
at low
fight
altitude.
it.
Copy that.
I think Icefire got the hole in the wall there, right? Maybe? They both on... Icefire's now taking the lead, so I guess Icefire took the hole in the wall. There's also a hole in the wall you can double jump and dash through. The timing can be awkward on it. And you get like 2 tries at it, really. Really it's 1. Pardon me. 1 try to do it. But the backup strat is that double lift that Ceciliya did off that rock that goes over the wall instead. And then both of them are going to just use their pod programs to do the quick kill on angles. He just dies with 2 pod programs if you're positioned properly and buffed up. This race is still really close. Both players are on a...
Yorha, this is your commander.
pace.
For the first time in centuries, we've intercepted a signal belonging to the aliens. These are the creatures that are in direct command of the machine lifeforms on this planet. If we can destroy them, we can end this long and arduous war.
But it seems to be underground.
Here there's just more movement. We're going to
Guess we'll see
move
once we get
towards where this alien signal has been detected.
You're
I don't
not
want to
up for
spoil
plans, are
something.
you?
So we're moving over here. Some of the movement before here to get down can be awkward. But we're just gonna move on to
Look at all these dead
what is
machines.
the
Seems like
next
they've been here for a
part.
long time.
What is this place?
I don't know. There's nothing like it.
The part about this fight is that there's no way to end it any faster. You have to wait out the dialogue of Adam, no matter what.
Look out! My name is Adam.
So what we'll do here is try and kill Eve as quickly as possible, so that we can get the level up off of him.
Wiped out.
And who knows? Perhaps we'll wipe out the androids next.
So we're just gonna wail on him with damage glitches, like Icefire is doing here.
We can grow. We can become aware.
And then when Eve has died, we wait for him to do his respawn. Killing him again will not give us another level up, so there's no benefit to doing that.
Be surprised at how quickly
We don't get any XP or anything from killing him again.
Oh, there's no use.
So what we'll do after
They were simple.
is use his attacks to do a counterattack, which gets us, with a heavy counterattack we can get a lot of height.
To us. But the humans on the
So what Icefire is going to do here, he's got to sit here, wait for Eve to come back, wait for him to attack, do a perfect evade, a heavy attack, which will counter it, and then do high jump tech to go over that wall there. And then he's going to do some more high jumps to get onto the bridge, and then over an invisible wall that's on this door,
we have dedicated
like he's done there.
ourselves to unraveling this.
And now he can go back into these tunnels,
And now we will
and he can clear out these tunnels of enemies and pick up some items.
Assist you with
This means that you can
We need you to locate
dash swing easier through these tunnels on the way out. It gives you some XP, and there's also item drops around here that can be used for upgrading one of our weapons if you start to go for that route.
Surely you see the attraction in this.
Are you insane?
Doesn't look like either player is going for those
This 2B? This guy's
Um,
bonkers.
alloys, I think they are, in the chest, so it looks like neither player is going for
The
VC3,
only remaining option.
which is the upgrade to our short sword.
The same way we
They're just gonna go and clear through those tunnels.
little aliens.
I think both players cleared out those tunnels completely, which is good.
Back this way again? What a pain.
Stop complaining.
Yeah.
2B, this is Operator 60. We now have an operational transporter in the city ruins. We're attempting to deploy them at other points as well.
Now we're just moving back through these tunnels. Both players can dash swing through because there are no enemies.
Transporters? They let you transfer your consciousness.
We
to
mash
a
through some
temporary-
dialogue, and then we can transport back to the bunker.
That next. So this.
Their flight.
We'll try to. There we go. Menu delays, as I said. Very, very not nice sometimes. It's very easy to do things like that and just lose small amounts of time to menuing.
That then.
Now there's a chance that Icefire is going to go for a dialogue. Yeah, Icefire seems to be trying for a dialogue skip here. Yeah, he got it. What we do there is we talk to 9S. We go into the first, like, oh, Ceci's having some trouble with this elevator. Okay, we talk to 9S. As Ceci's going to do here, we can SD to make it easier. We talk to 9S and get into the first
Why don't we
line of
restart
dialogue with him,
2B?
and then we can walk into a trigger
Rest if I feel like
for another set of dialogue, and both of them will cancel each other out. The dialogue box will close, and it'll skip whatever trigger dialogue we went through, whatever set of dialogue is connected to that trigger. So we save probably a few seconds there. It's not huge with that one, but we skip like the first set of dialogue there. There's a much bigger one coming up soon. So here, Icefire is going to be doing the last set of buys we do in the normal route. He's going to be selling off a lot of his chips, his machine cores to get a load of money, and his small recoveries. Then buying buffs and recoveries. Some people choose to go for defense buffs, others don't. Defense buffs are slower in theory. But you know, people do what they do. I'm a scaredy cat and buy defense buffs.
What?
When do you think you'll be willing to call me Nines?
So I'll explain what Icefire just did when Ceci gets to it, because it's sort of quick. Basically, there's a skip we do that goes over
This job can be pretty rough sometimes.
a
We don't get to
mini
choose our
cutscene
assignments, and you should work on keeping your
where a
opinions
little
in
kid
check.
is whining at his
Children
mum.
aren't allowed to be emotional,
So what we
remember?
can do here is
Some of us are better
do a
at that
double
than
lift
others.
off this little ramp here,
This must be the commercial structure Pascal was talking about. The
and
records
then
say it
use
was
it
once a
to
facility known as a shopping center.
go over the trigger for that dialogue and go past it,
Nope.
which saves quite like a few seconds maybe. Again, doing it and messing it up is straight harmless. So it's either you do it right or you don't at all, because I think even messing up the double lift
You're getting distracted.
basically loses time.
Check this guy.
If you mess up the double lift and try again, it basically loses time, so big thing. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the dialogue skip next when Ceci gets to that as well. Icefire's just going to equip the chips. He's going to equip the resilience chip we bought earlier, which means that we will not take stagger when we're above a certain health threshold. And then we've got chips. I don't know what those chips are because I can't read Japanese, but I think some of them are crit ups.
Looks like the forest is just ahead.
So Ceci just did the dialogue skip. What we do is we do the same thing there. That one skips a much larger chunk of dialogue and saves quite a bit of time. We do this for robots, right? You have to kill the robots as quickly as possible. Here we're coming up on forest. This has got some very finicky movement sometimes.
I'm aware of how to fight. You just be careful.
I will too be.
There's a section here that you can lose a pretty decent chunk of time to movement here, but so they're just gonna be doing dash swings and dashes and jumps and whatever else to get across some of this very uneven ground, which causes a lot of problems because dash swings don't really follow. Dashes and dash swings don't really follow the up and down of the ground very well if they're sharp drops. So it can be pretty difficult to get your dash swings to be timed properly so that you don't do mid-air heavies instead. Now, I'm not sure what Icefire's going for, but it's probably going to be... Okay, Icefire's going for what we call Mario Kart. So we go over to this edge, we do a plunge onto here, onto this hill, and then hit a trigger somewhere around that corner and SD out of the corner, which... Well, not trigger, like we hit a thing there that means that when we respawn, we spawn in the castle instead of having to walk around to the other side of the castle to get in. And then he's going to do a punch through there to get out of bounds here, and then do some cool stuff to climb up these windows. Ceci's going to do something different. He's got 2 crit up chips. Ceci's going to do what we call Rainbow Road, which is a set of long jump tech that lets us get there without doing that plunge and that void out. It's slightly faster than Mario Kart by a few seconds if you're doing like the faster methods. Some people do it just because it's more consistent if you do the inputs properly, whereas the plunge for Mario Kart can be awkward. Icefire is just doing some stuff. He had to go backwards there to hit trigger, but now we're going to start the A2 fight, one of the harder fights of the run, just because A2 has basically the same attacks that we do, which means a lot of spinning swords that can cause you to perfect evade a lot, and she also doesn't stagger very much, and can break out of stagger very quickly. That makes it just hard to keep hitting her. Aspa had a really nice fight there, actually.
She's destroyed.
Let's go after her, 2B.
Even... Did he get any crits there? That was a really nice fight, from what I saw of it. Here he's just done a more high jumps. We're normally supposed to follow A2 out that window, but you can do high jumps out there and over the wall stopping us from going out that way. We can just climb over it and plunge past it. And so long as you land low enough on those stairs, you'll get past the trigger and just keep going. Ceci doesn't have boss health bars, I think. Am I missing things? So I'm not sure how far through this A2 fight she is, but this might be difficult. Okay, Ceci has some crits though. Ceci having a bit more trouble with A2. But I'm not too surprised with not knowing what HP. Oh! Oh. Yeah. I think she sold a chip. Ah, that is not good.
9S, why did you ask Pascal
I'm not
about
sure.
O2?
I think he respawned at the start of
It's
the
not recommended
fight.
to interface with
Oh
machines without
no.
consulting command.
Oh no.
Thanks,
This is not
2B.
going to be good.
Still, machines are the enemy. Don't forget it.
So it says he's going to have to redo some stuff. Yeah, it says he just died. From what I could tell, it was because you couldn't heal during slow-mo. Healing gets very awkward with with slow-mo because you can't menu. I think that's a.
Let's take him out already so I can be
I'm
home in
guessing
time
that's
for dinner.
that's a forfeit. Ceci's forfeiting. That's
Debate.
that's a lot of time lost. That's the entire forest. So
Yeah, but come on, 2B. It still
that's
feels
too
good.
bad for Ceci. That's probably one of the worst places you can die because it's one of the only boss fights that will send you back far. A lot of boss fights will send you to the start of them, but that one fight will send you all the way back to your last save. So I missed a lot of stuff on Icefire screen, sadly because of that, but we did some skips that let us get down here easier without having to run through sewers. How do I do forfeit?
I think that's the last of the machines.
Okay. Now, okay, I've missed a lot of stuff on Icefire screen, but here Icifire's moving on to the third shmup of the game. Oh, he's paused. Oh, yeah. He knows about the forfeit, so he's just... And he's not... He's pausing for a bit. I don't know what's going on. Yes. Icefire seems to be taking a break to figure out what's happened. I just took a short break to figure out what was happening. So yeah, here we come up to the third shmup, Icefire's on. This is this section of the shmup is, you know, similar to the others. You need to clear out the waves quickly so the next spawn. But there's a this might coming up might be one of the less interesting parts of the game, at least from a speedrun perspective. From a casual perspective, it's good, but here coming up we have the Grim boss fight, and this boss fight is long
Friendly units in range.
and mostly an auto-scroller.
Our escort ship is
So
damaged and unable to engage.
a collection of runners from the community who really want to play this game a lot,
I repeat, this is Carrier Blue
and
Ridge 2.
the biggest thing turning them off from either playing more or just making it harder to run and more annoying to run is this boss fight. So a collection of them come together and set up a bounty for anyone who can somehow find a skip for this that is doable within the A route. And so I think the bounty for that is somewhere over $2,000 now. And also includes a curry pizza made by our resident pizza lover Texius. Homemade curry pizza. But well, before we come up on that boss fight, we do have this small boss. Not a massive thing. What we do here is we just buff up, fire both our pod programs as quickly as possible, and then keep pod firing and using heavy attacks. You're a regular pizza lover. I think you're a very pizza lover. You love pizza more than the average. But then I wouldn't know, because in my opinion, this entire community loves pizza more than the average. Yeah, we just used pod programs and automatic kills that enemy very quickly. And now here we have the 9-minute-ish boss fight that's an auto-scroller. Yeah, some people really want this skipping.
It's freaking huge.
Some people really don't like this. I have less of a problem with this boss than other people, because I like the chill, like before all the stuff that happens after it, but it does make it hard to want to finish a run that goes behind. Even if you do have time save, it's like if you start thinking if you're not going to catch up, is it worth sitting through this? So I can say that at least most of the people offering these bounties are very genuine about it. This is not...
Proposal. Destroy the generator quickly. Obtained from command.
Go ahead.
The only known record of this machine lifeform is a lone sighting 320 years ago. Upon reaching land,
This is going to be difficult. We don't even have a double grunt. We just have one grunt and a 4/5.
all resistance fighters in the vicinity
And voice breaks.
So basically, if this thing reaches land, we're screwed.
Affirmative.
So in this section, yeah, this is literally an auto-scroller, but there's small things. You want to try and kill all of these enemies, because any 9S kills will not give you XP, and you want all the XP you can get in this run, just to try and make it to level 20, because it can make a decent difference to the last boss rush, what level you're at. Okay, here we're on the core path. The core path is the part of the run that isn't auto-scroller. You can speed these up,
Electromagnetic interference eliminated. Preparing for
because
strike.
you can get the fast cycles on them, which basically just means killing both the mini cores on each side in the first cycle they go around. I'll talk more about that next time we get to one. I sort of missed that one.
Are you Yorha? Hunter Squadron deploying out of North 12C Defense HQ.
Basically, that's the one part of the Grun fight
We'll take it from here.
that is not an auto-scroller. That, and then this small section coming up, which has a tiny amount of time save on it.
You and I should meet up at the spot I just marked.
I mean, it's quite a lot of time save considering it's just 4 button presses, but
We've got mortars lining the shoreline.
pretty tiny amount of time save
Shielding in the world
right here.
against close-range mortar fire.
Got it.
So here we've got to come and try and shoot things into Grun's mouth. Mortars.
This thing's armor is too thick. We need more.
And the timing of the first mortar shot
Oh, right.
that hits him and does counts as one of the damaging shots determines how fast you can do this. If you get it like as early as possible, you'll save time. If you miss one, if you miss the first shot you fire, that you're intending to have hit, if it goes just slightly too early, then it can lose you a couple of seconds. It's not much, it's the length of just refreshing the mortar fire.
But it wound up going out of control. I was part of the machine's network when it happened, so I remember.
Now we're back to auto-scrolls.
The moment it reached land, it went berserk and began attacking.
You might maybe be able to guess why people want this skipping.
How to stop it. We eventually marooned it deep in the ocean, but it seems to be searching for a way back. Huh.
K2B, I think I have another
Oh, I
idea.
forgot to mention earlier, but
Right where it is, okay?
within the Grun skip bounty, there's also a free alcoholic beverage of your choice, courtesy of me.
9S should be reported to command as a deserter.
No! He has a plan.
Canaris, I'm not sure that's how seeding works. Yeah. Icefire, just get a 230 now, and then you can go against Canaris.
I'm going to see if we can
I don't think that would even work.
But I need you to destroy the EMP unit on that thing's back. Otherwise they're just going to go off course.
On.
So yeah, Icefire now is basically running for whatever seed he's going to get in the elims. So he should still be going for a good time, because it will make his earlier elimination matches easier. Yeah, don't forfeit, or don't go too slow, because you'll be against Canaris. First round, which is a scary thing to think about. Okay, so yeah, here's the Grunkles. What we can do is clear these in a fashion that... Oh, he's having bad orange. You can clear them in you can clear the small cores in 2 spins. You can clear the first one, and then when it spins round, if you clear the first one fast enough, there's no RNG in where the second ones go, and they'll always be in a place where you can hit them. But anything like slightly slower than perfect really will give you a bad cycle, and that's not good, because the bad cycle means you can't hit them. And those bad cycles can then just sort of spin and spin and spin, and make it impossible to actually, well, very difficult to do the damage you need to. So that's where all the optimization is on Grun. It's those cores, and making sure you clear out each set of 2 cores while they're in the right position for the first time. And there are consistent ways of doing it. It's just, it can be difficult to aim the pod fire and make sure you're hitting your swings right. Luckily we can missile the large cores. And the pod programs will kill the large core within 1 or 2 pod programs always, so there's no reason to be worried about those. So really that just makes it kind of just more easy than it already was. We should be coming up on the last course soon though. So he's going to buff again here. The way we normally do this is by hitting each core 5 times with melees while continuing pod fire, and that normally will get enough damage down on them to kill them after we sort of move away, at least on the first one. Wait. Oh, I paused this timer, didn't he? During when he paused, so that my yeah. So he could still actually be ahead of PB right now. I'm not sure though. I don't.
2B to bunker. Come in.
I don't have any mental
2B? 2B, are you alright?
things of
Running
how long
system
run,
diagnostics.
what run
Core
times
functionality
give
appears
what
intact.
sort of
Goodness.
end times.
I need a status
I don't
report.
have much
Roger that.
much memory of
It started with
those.
a giant machine that attacked the shore. It ceased its resistance 8 hours
So
ago.
unless someone in chat wants to check PBs for me.
Hours?
However, its EMP strikes knocked out comms all across the region. We're having trouble getting them back online, which means data upload
Obviously
is
with the
currently
pause it wouldn't
unavailable in some areas.
count for with the pause.
Where's 9S?
Yeah, about that. We picked up a faint black box reading.
Could
but
mean
it
he's
wasn't
on a
strong enough
good
to hold
run.
down his position.
If you found something, that means
It
he
seems
must
like
be
it. There's
alive.
been no
Put in a
huge
request to the
mistakes from
commander
Icefire
for
here.
immediate approval to begin a search.
Actually, the
Here,
commander
Icefires
has
got to
already
come up
ordered us
on
to prioritize tracking down surviving York
the
members.
most precisely
Find 9S.
angled cliff in this
Let me know,
route of the
okay?
game,
Will do.
in this ending of the game. There is a worse one, apparently, in 98% quests, I think. Oh no, he's not going to go for that. He's going for the V1 version of the clip, which is easier to get into,
Signals detected.
but takes a little bit longer to get to.
Scanner is required for detection of weaker signals.
Never heard of it.
Okay, his man's 30 from a 132, so he's close. He's at least close to PB, depending on how different your
Be obtained from
endings are.
Resistance leader.
No,
Let's go.
yeah, his. Wait, I forgot what ICE's PB is on. Is it 131? Low 131. Yeah, 13102. Okay. So he did a slightly easier version of the skip there, which we do at a different one of the tunnels. It's slightly further away from the fastest way of doing it, but it's an easier clip out, a less precise clip out to do, and it doesn't lose much time. And like the skip itself doesn't save that much time. So going for the harder one and messing it up a few times can start losing down very quickly. Here he's done a thing that we like to call mansplaining. We do a little clip there, do a high jump, and then plunge into that corner, and we can then clip out of this boss fight and have no trouble getting out. And then he'll travel down to this elevator and open it up. Because Adam likes talking, and talking is slow, so we're gonna skip his talking. This is another dialogue skip, but we do it in a different way than the other ones. So what he's gonna do is wait for a certain line of dialogue here.
Proposal. Prioritize search for 9S.
That's spooky. Yeah, he'll wait for that only then, which is the indicator of the longest line of dialogue starting that Adam can do, which is the last one. And we use the pod dialogue that happens when we go into the elevator to skip Adam's dialogue and start the boss fight. Now we're just gonna wail on Adam too. He's less trouble than the Adam one fight. He's going for the he's pressing mansplaining while here he doesn't have to do any more damage once he starts that dialogue. It's just timed again. you just have to hit him at the end in order to start this next phase. Here again, we just gotta beat on Adam, really. It's not really much trouble, this fight, unless he does one of the really bad attacks, but that's rare. He can do attacks where he'll like teleport behind you, which can be very bad. They can lose you a bit of time. But their eyes had nice attacks and nice crits, so he had a good fight. Here we're doing another dialogue skip. This one skips the commander dialogue. And I think he also managed to skip the pod dialogue as well, because he spent so much time slow walking through that. So that one doesn't actually cancel out the dialogue with the computer girl. It'll cancel out both the dialogues that start if you're in that dialogue for long enough. So basically he's saved a lot of time here where we wouldn't be able to actually access the transporter to look at the inbox and get this started. So now he's just going to move over to the factory.
Well, 2 days ago I was contacted by some machines that disconnected themselves from the network. They wanted to discuss a peace treaty.
No kidding.
Apparently, they're seeking to form an alliance of some kind with our village.
If that's what they want, why don't they move in?
I believe they're working on building a colony of their own.
You don't say.
Just the same as usual, lots of good movements. Here we do a little thing to plunge down here, just to a little faster than walking along the bridge.
Sounds good.
Target location data obtained. Marking on map.
The machines who seek to form an alliance with my village are hiding out here. Still,
So we just get here, touch Pascal.
the machines can be rather unpredictable.
Even you?
There are strats we can do here that
Now that we're cut off,
apparently save time
we no longer share data with each other. We can
by making the slow walk slightly faster.
contains many ways to
Icefire clearly not going for them here.
It certainly does.
I think if you do them at a weird angle, they just slow you down and put you off your beeline, so it's not good. Another thing that I forgot to talk about that I maybe should have mentioned is that when going into either cutscenes or dialogue that's forced on you, or anything that's caused you to slow walk, we'll do swings or jumps in order to stop slow walk from happening, in order to hit the whatever the trigger is before the slow walk starts. That might be very late to talk about that, but just in case anyone's been wondering. This machine here is very slow, so we have to wait for him. Nothing we know of can speed him up, so we just sort of sit there. Some people will SD, so we can do a skirtless. Okay, now here we're coming up on the longest, I think the largest time save skips, and just like the biggest set of clip outs in a row. And this is some very difficult skips here as well. Just probably the most intimidating skip in the game for runners. First, Icefire's got to do a little clip out here. That will despawn these mooks in this room, so that instead of having to kill them, the game thinks they're already dead and will start this, unlock this elevator immediately. It means we lose the XP from killing those enemies, so it's reduced the chances of people getting to level 20 in the run without having very, very good pit bites. But it saves quite a bit of time on the fight, especially if you're not too good at combat or too good at that fight. Now he's going to do another clip out. This one, because this elevator shuts and you can't, well, this elevator like locks and you can't get back up, we can void out and get that elevator to reopen. So we've hit the trigger that we have to get for, which requires us to talk to 9S in that machine body, and then we can go back up to the top of here. Now up here is a lot higher than the rest of the deep factory. So what we can do is do another clip out here. Yes, that's 3 clip outs already. We can do another clip out here by doing a plunge, and then plunge all the way down to where this next trigger is, and preferably we do a jump there, which means that we hit the trigger before we hit the ground, and then we void out back to where we were, and then plunge down here, which is towards the end of the factory. That was a very clean deep factory from Icefire actually. Only a tiny bit of trouble on some of the clips. That was really fast. Yeah, Ceciliya died to one of the boss fights, and the particular one that she died to loses a lot of time. It loses 5 to 6 minutes just because you get spawned very far back. So now we're just watching Icefire do a very nice run to try and get good seeding for the next stage of the tourney.
Oh, now what?
Here Icefire just gonna do a little thing that lets us get stuck on this bridge. Doesn't save time, but it means that we don't have to bother dodging any of
Just encountered.
Soshi's attacks.
I've been keeping an eye on you. I'm gonna shut off power
Because he's shielded anyway, so we can't do any damage until after this time section. Until his shield drops.
95, 98.
Most people use a music indicator to figure out when this when they can drop back down. Around here.
I just shut down the electrical grid.
So now he's just gonna buff, taunt, and beat on this boss as quickly as possible. That's a decent attack if he can get this cycle. He might not though. What is this? Oh, he might. Okay, no. He's had some trouble there. He's had quite. It's a bit of a slower fight. He had to go through a few cycles and didn't have too much luck with crits. But still, not a bad fight by far. Do we have Icefire splits for first PB? He would just want to do some movement to get out of the factory. He's not going to be dash swinging here because it's very easy to lock onto all these enemies around. So he's just going to be dashing through here. Dash swinging can easily just like lose you all your time by accidentally locking onto an enemy and throwing you at them. Whoa! Did that work? He only uses main splits. He still has them. Yeah, and main splits I can't read. Yeah, and his splits IO is in
No thanks.
if you can get on his splits IO, they might be in in-game time or loadless.
I see.
So he's coming. He's gonna be moving back now towards the resistance camp.
Say again? Receiving.
Scanning for interference.
The machine requesting him backup. Forces in range. Please, we can.
Let's move.
I'm gonna take a guess and say that's an Eve start. They're cool too.
Why are their numbers increasing like this?
Cause unknown.
Try contacting
Yeah, I think his
Bunker
PB has a
with laser
12048 Sochi death. So we just want to be doing upper movement, trying to avoid dash swinging onto these enemies. Trying to just sort of move your camera around and get the best line you can. Now here, the resistance camp is on fire and everything's being eaten.
You okay? Reach. Good.
But we just have to clear out, we don't have to fight those enemies at the start, we just have to clear out these ones here in the back. So Icefire just got a buff and keep throwing damage glitches at them. You can have some trouble here. The death animations of the larger bipeds with the shields can really cause you problems because they can get in the way of hitting other enemies because they stay on the ground and have collision still for quite a while depending on what death animation you get. Might be a Bokushi split actually.
You again?
Now he's on the Bokushi fight. He's gonna be doing similar things to with the Sochi fight, but this one also has electricity on the ground that will damage you every so many seconds. That looked like a really good fight though. Cleared him out basically as soon as he, just after he stumbled actually. He's gonna SD there just to get a few more of those enemies.
You okay?
I'm fine. Let's take this bastard down.
I think he might have a 125-11 Bokushi end, so this could still be ahead of PB. So this core just popped out of Bokushi. We take it up onto that hill just to make it easier to beat on. Yeah, he had a... He's been waiting quite a while to heal quite often, especially in like Bokushi and stuff. He's had low HP, like less than half HP through a lot of these boss fights where he just waited until he finishes his damage glitches. It's pretty monk-ass. But it seems like he's got it under control. He hasn't died, so he must just feel comfortable with the enemy's attacks and stuff. He's clearly just a god, guys. He's clearly just a god gamer. Here we go, and we're just going to kill enemies near to Pascal's village. Just taunting them. I just realised I haven't mentioned taunt the entire time. But taunt sorry, flash the flashlight and make the face go red. And they take more damage. That basically explains it. This fight here, we're just gonna... There are two ways of doing it, but the way that Icefire does it is still pretty decently fast. You just hit it enough times for it to drop the core out of it, and then the core takes a lot of damage. Icefire seems like he's taking a different route than people normally do. This seems like a very not beeline. I guess it doesn't matter too much because he's probably gonna get there. He didn't do the dialogue skip, so he's gonna get there in theory before the dialogue ends anyway. Yeah. So he didn't lose any time for doing that weird movement that That's a weird line, but he didn't lose any time to it. He didn't do the dialogue skip, so he got there before the dialogue ended anyway. There is a dialogue skip there where you talk to 9S just after you kill the core. And that means that you can save some time on that movement if you do it fast enough. He did get grabbed by Eve, but which will lose him a bit of time, and I think he's going to get platform. Oh no, he cleared, just barely cleared the health threshold as the platforms went up. So he just about skipped platforms there. Platforms can lose a lot of time because Eve will just go out of your way, and then you have to chase him up there, and they're finicky to climb.
We'll never get anywhere like this.
But here we're just gonna keep beating on Eve. He's got some good crit chips, so he's gonna do a lot of damage. He actually killed Eve probably only about a second after the phase 2 skip would. So that was a really fast Eve phase 2. Now in this phase, Eve goes up here. We can't use our damage glitches anymore because Eve is too high for them. So I think Icefire got skill salve, so what he's going to be going for is just pod firing a lot and using his skill salve so that he can keep firing lasers and doing a lot of damage. There's another method that involves lifting or pod launching up to him and hitting him with melee attacks. But these skill salves mean that you can still do a lot of damage. I think probably the best is a mixture of the two, but it's very easy to not take any risk if you're just lasering and pod firing. This is a very good run for Icefire. This is... It's sort of unlucky that he paused his timer halfway through, because this is PB phase, I think. Assuming his time on the leaderboard is PB, this is definitely like almost a minute ahead of PB if Eve is nice. Either way, he's having a PB run. Like, no matter what Eve does here, this is better than his leaderboard time. Even if he does lots of bad things like this. Okay. Spaghetti. Okay, does Icefire want to come on?
No. It's okay. I can always reload my backup data from the bunker.
But you'll lose you. The you that exists at this very moment.
Guess so. But we can't upload this corrupted data to the bunker. So...
9S.
I don't know the schedule, but I think we'll be done soon.
To do this for me.
I'm done. Okay, I guess he did go behind PB there. I don't know what his actual PB is. I'm gonna take a guess that the leaderboard time is not accurate. That Eve could have been troublesome then. That Eve could have done it for him. Okay, it looks like Icefire doesn't want to do any much talking interviews or anything, neither of the runners, so I'm just gonna finish this up and say thank you to Speed Gaming to hosting this. Thank you to everyone in the community that helped organize this. Thank you for the runners for racing. Thank you everyone for watching. our next race should be 6 versus Ceciliya, which will be tomorrow at 10 ED. No, today at 10 EDT. 10 PM EDT. So, thank you everyone for everything. I hope you enjoyed the race. I hope you all have a good day.